Yo, what's up guys? This is Gangsta Jabs and I'm gonna be doing a weapons tier list. I have 20 Mech Arena Pros helping me with this tier list. They're some of the best players in the game and they know the meta inside out. So S tier means the weapon is meta, A tier means the weapon is meta if you're skilled with it, B tier means the weapon is okay and it can be good in certain circumstances, C tier means the weapon is bad, and D tier means the weapon is garbage. I recommend you to only invest in the S and A tier weapons. So first is the EM rifle. Most of the pros agreed that this is an S tier weapon. This is not a surprise. They are the most OP weapon in the game. They one-shot almost anything at almost any range. So this is the tier list so far. Next is the Gravatron Beams. Most of the pros ranked them in the B tier. They're an okay weapon. They can be decent on Surge, but other than that, they're not too great. And here's the updated tier list. Next is the Voltaic RPGs. There was a tie between D and B tier, so I'm gonna put Voltaic RPGs in the C tier. They're just not a good weapon. The damage is just too low. And here's the updated tier list. Next is the disc launchers. The pros say it's an S tier weapon, and I agree. They have completely changed the game. Panther with disc 16s, Orion with disc 12s, Stalker with disc 12s, all super strong builds. And here's the updated tier list. Next is a railgun. The pros say that it's an A tier weapon. They have kind of fallen out of the meta because of the EMs, but they're still very viable. If you're skilled with railguns, they can be deadly. And here's the updated tier list. Next is the Carbine. Most of the pros say it's a B tier weapon. They're decent on Surge, but other than that, they're not too great. And here's the updated tier list. Next is the rocket mortars. Most of the pros put them in the S tier. They're one of the most OP weapons in the game and they've changed the game completely. And here's the updated tier list. Next is the Stasis Beam. Most of the pros say it's a D tier weapon. The slow is nice, but the damage is just way too low for it to be viable. And here's the updated tier list. Next is the Gauss Rifles. Most of the pros also put in the D tier. The damage is just too low for it to be viable. And here's the updated tier list. Next is the missile racks. There's a tie between A tier and B tier, but I'm gonna give them A tier since two people said they're in the S tier. I think with the new pilot coming out, they'll definitely be viable. And here's the updated tier list. Next is the Arc Turret. Not surprisingly, they were ranked as an S tier weapon. Surge with Arc Turrets is one of the most OP builds in the game. I'd highly recommend getting it if you don't have it. And here's the updated tier list. Next is the Longarms. Most of the pros ranked it as an A tier weapon. Stalker with Longarms is a deadly build and it's definitely viable, but it requires a lot of skill. And here's the updated tier list. Next is the Javelin racks. Most of the pros ranked them as a B tier weapon. It requires a lot of skill, but it can be decent if you're good at them. And here's the updated tier list. Next is the shotguns. It was close between A and S tier, but majority of the pros ranked them in the S tier. Tengu with shotguns is a super strong build. I made a video about them, but they're kind of falling out of the meta since Surge in the EM rifles destroys Tengu. And here's the updated tier list. Next is the pulse cannons. Most of the pros say it's a D tier weapon. It's garbage. And here's the updated tier list. And here's the rest of the weapons. These weapons are not even close to being competitively viable. They're all garbage weapons. Don't invest in them. I was surprised that RPG was close to being C tier. I guess it's the best out of these four weapons. And here's the final tier list. I'd highly recommend having these 5 S tier weapons in your hangar. I think every meta hangar has a mech with EMs, a mech with disc launchers, a mech with mortars, a mech with arc turrets, and a mech with shotguns. And missile racks, railguns, and longarms are definitely viable. You can also invest in them, but I recommend focusing on these S tier weapons. So if you guys enjoyed the video, like and subscribe, and see you guys.